Hi, I'm Maya. I've been bodybuilding for a while now. My favorite exercise is the bench press. I'm always trying to lift a little more. There's no greater feeling than breaking a personal record. Eventually, I plateaued, which was super upsetting. My boyfriend Dan would try to make me feel better. He'd just shrug and tell me it didn't matter to him how much I could bench, but it mattered to me. I met Dan a while ago in a chat room for the online video game Legends of War. It's a game where you build an army and try to take over the world. We were both really into it, and we'd play it together all the time. Anyway, I was still determined to get over my strength plateau when I saw an ad for a supplement called Brawn, which promised to make me stronger. I thought, why not give it a try? So I ordered some, and next time I went to the gym, I was slinging weight like it was nothing. I shattered my personal record. Not only that, I broke the world record by lifting 3 times my body weight. I ended up winning the biggest bodybuilding contest in the world. When they crowned me Miss Adonis on stage, I thanked Brawn for the extra boost. It had been my secret weapon, but now it wasn't such a secret. That's when Felicia Flex, the president of Brawn, called me and made me their new spokesperson. I was in all their commercials and my face was on all of their products. I made tons of money. Felicia was once a champion herself as a pro wrestler. She was successful before, but when I came into the picture, it went to another level. I made so much money for the company that Felicia Flex and I started hanging out. She moved into a big house and bought a cool car, and she'd make it rain everywhere we went. As a thank you, Felicia gave me a lifetime supply of Brawn. Everyone already used it in their workout smoothies, but I was the first to come up with the idea of putting it in everything. That's how I started the worldwide Brawn craze. Use it in baking. Mix it in your morning coffee. Sprinkle some on your salad. Use it as an industrial lubricant. We were about to make even more money. That's why I was shocked when I found out Felicia was planning on selling the company, which had become super valuable thanks to me. But if Felicia were to sell, I wouldn't see a cent of it. When I confronted her about this, she just said, "Sorry, business is business." I was furious. I wasn't about to let her take everything away from me. If business was business, I'd do everything I could to get my due. So I hired a bunch of attorneys to sue the snot out of Felicia. I told them I'd share my lifetime supply of Brawn with them if they could win my case. They were fired up. They even started taking Brawn themselves and got jacked. Me and my army of jacked lawyers argued that Brawn's recent success was mostly because of me, and that I deserved a big piece. And we won. I got a massive settlement. But Felicia wasn't going to give up so easily. She challenged me to a one-time wrestling exhibition match. It was a double or nothing wager, and the winner would take all. Of course, all the media outlets jumped on it. It was quickly setting up to be the most televised event ever. Felicia would keep goading me, telling me I was chicken if I didn't accept her challenge. So I did. I had to. I drank 5 gallons of Brawn every day until the match. I psyched myself up so hard, I was downright dangerous. Not to be messed with. When we stepped in the ring, I went all out. I absolutely dominated Felicia and finished her with an epic suplex. So now that I'd won the lawsuit and the wrestling match, I had more money than I could even count. I bought a mansion, a Rolls Royce, I had a G5 Gulfstream jet, I had the plumbing at home modified so that all the running water had Brawn mixed into it. I also bought the world's largest Baroque fountain. I even got a fancy English butler. His name was Wellington, and he was also a master chef who prepared all my food. He'd have fresh sushi flown in from Japan, the world's best steaks dry-aged for at least 20 years. Homemade brick oven pizzas made from 1,000-year-old mother dough from Italy. And of course, I'd have him put Easy Brawn on everything. And I made it rain everywhere I went. Anytime I had a problem of any kind, I just threw money at it, and the problem would go away. But eventually, I had a problem that didn't look like it could be solved so easily. Dan came to me one day and told me he was unhappy. There was nothing about this new life that he recognized, and he said that he didn't even recognize me anymore. He said he hadn't done anything to earn any of this success, which is why he couldn't enjoy it. Dan said he missed the old days when we'd be happy to just stay at home and play Legends of War. But we got to travel all over and do whatever we wanted. Wasn't that way better? He said, yeah, but we never really hang out. Not really. I feel like all I'm doing is tagging along for the ride, with only Wellington to talk to, who, frankly, is not very nice to me. And so, Dan broke up with me. Crazy, right? And what's even crazier is that he never drank Easy Brawn. He always said that it tasted like metal. He hated that the whole house was full of it. The breakup put me in a bit of a funk. I literally had everything, but at the same time, I couldn't help but start feeling like I didn't have much at all. I didn't really have anyone. I mean, sure, once upon a time for a short while, Felicia and I were cool, but there was no going back to that. And now I lost Dan. The only person I had left was Wellington. If I was ever feeling down, Wellington was always there to cheer me up with Easy Brawn margaritas. He and I grew closer just from spending so much time together. One thing led to another and, well, we became a couple. Once Wellington and I got together, it was weird for him to continue being my butler. So we got another butler to replace him. Eventually, Wellington and I got married. With a sophisticated British husband, it wasn't long before we were rubbing elbows with high society. Now that everyone else around me had just as much as I didn't feel so special anymore. I needed to find a way to up the ante. That's when I decided to run for mayor. The only problem was that Wellington had gotten super lazy. He never wanted to go with me anywhere. All he did was stay at home and play Legends of War on the computer. I know, the irony is not lost on me. Wellington's laziness got to the point where it wasn't a good look for me. I mean, I was trying to be mayor. How was I going to come off like a go-getter who was going to lead the city and make it rain for small businesses and the working class with a slouch for a husband? So I told Wellington to get his act together or else I'd divorce him. He got with the program pretty quick after that. By the way, I always thought it'd be hard to run for office, but it turns out it's easier if you have a lot of money. I was by far the favorite candidate, but then, out of nowhere, another challenger stepped up. It was Felicia. I thought I'd seen the last of this chick when I had suplexed her into oblivion, but I guess not. When Felicia entered the mayoral race, she was angry and out for blood. She told everyone she was going to win. I wanted to send a clear message to Felicia that I wasn't going to back down. So I went on live TV and said, "Come at me, bro." Then she said, "Bring it, jabroni." We went back and forth like this until I challenged Felicia to a debate. She said she had a better idea, a cage fighting match. Everyone went wild over the idea. I thought, hey, if that's what the people wanted, that's what I'd give them. I prepped by downing 5 gallons of Easy Brawn a day, but for some reason, my muscles seemed to be shrinking a bit. Whatever, I was still psyched. When the day finally came, it was an even bigger deal than our wrestling match. I couldn't wait to bounce this fool. I went in right away and took a swing at her. She dodged it right away and countered with a vicious punch to my gut. Boom! Oh, I dropped like a sack of potatoes. Then came a vicious uppercut right on the chin. And I was out cold. It was all so lightning fast and she was so strong. Felicia won by knockout in mere seconds. Needless to say, the publicity boost put her over the edge, and Felicia got elected mayor. How did she beat me so easily? When I went home, I found Wellington with his bags packed. I was shocked to discover he was moving in with Felicia. Turns out she'd gone to Wellington behind my back and told him to replace my Easy Brawn with orange food coloring so that she'd win the fight. And in return, she'd let him live in the mayor's mansion so he wouldn't have to put up with me anymore. Wellington ended up divorcing me and hired my army of yoked attorneys to take me for every cent I had. Just like that, I'd lost everything. Ugh, I was so sick of it all. I couldn't stand drinking Easy Brawn anymore. Dan was right. It didn't taste very good. And Dan was right about something else. As much as I had, it wasn't really as satisfying as it should have been. I found myself longing for simpler times when I was happy to just bench press a little more at the gym. Turns out there's a lot of fun in the challenge. So I went back to the gym for old time's sake. And that's when I ran into Dan. It had been so long since I'd seen him. He was happy to see me back at the gym, ready to put some real work in. He told me he'd missed me, and I missed him too. I told him I'd lost everything. He just shrugged and said, "Easy come, easy go." Then he said that if I wanted to take over the world, I could still do it with him from the comfort of our own home. You might have fantasized about getting everything you ever wanted at the snap of a finger, but would you want that really? Tell us in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more hidden wisdom stories. Remember, when you share our stories, you're sharing wisdom.